Right now at 6 o'clock, a low-income housing nightmare in the North Bay.
No, we have no options. We have nowhere to go.
A mom and her son among the dozens of families forced to move out of a brand new complex after finding out they should never have been allowed to live there in the first place. Plus some rain and some shine today after yesterday's intense heat. We'll look at the potential for more showers and lightning. And he used to run a nonprofit boxing gym for kids in East Oakland, but now he's headed to prison for pocketing more than $500,000 in donations, including a generous gift from the Currys. And later, the AI arms race is heating up, literally.
Their need to cool their servers will multiply.
How artificial intelligence data centers could be a strain on the Bay Area's water supply, and the efforts to keep the industry in check.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. We begin with an affordable housing project in Sonoma County that was just too good to be true for the first people who moved in. Residents at the Woodmark Apartments in Sebastopol are being asked to move out. That's because the complex had been specifically designated for farm workers. Our Suji Nam spoke with a mother who is trying to figure out what's next after they are forced to leave their home behind.
No, get my sword!
While Melissa Page plays her son's favorite game, Pirate Battleship, only one thing is on her mind. Where are they going to go?
The cheapest thing that I've been able to find, and that's like, we're talking a studio, is $1,400 a month, which is triple what I pay now.
Page has been living at Woodmark Apartments, an affordable housing complex in Sebastopol, since last December. But now she's scrambling after receiving a letter from the management office offering residents a buyout of up to $10,000 to leave before their lease ends.
We had hoped we could obtain a waiver of this requirement for existing households, but the USDA has denied our request.
Page and her neighbors say they were blindsided after only recently discovering that Woodmark received a $1 million USDA loan to open their doors to farm workers and their families. But instead, the company had filled the units with low-income, non-farm worker families like Page. And now, Woodmark needs everyone out.
Should you choose to move out and not to a sister community, the mutual termination waiver will still apply, clearly outlining the terms of the lease termination.
Page has been trying to find affordable housing nearby, but says the wait list is up to 3 years, and that the buyout money will only go so far.
We know we have no options. We have nowhere to go.
Patrick McDonald with Legal Aid of Sonoma County has been providing pro bono services to Woodmark residents.
The interests of those two vulnerable communities shouldn't be pitted against each other. And there is really a moral component of this, right, where it is not fair by either of those groups.
Farm workers, one of the groups, facing tense times. But Heather Henry, the CEO of the California Human Development in Santa Rosa, is fighting to help laborers find affordable housing.
Anything that connects to government data can be a source of fear. And a lot of times the affordable housing for farm workers is predominantly federal funding. And so that can be a catch-22 situation.
Meanwhile, Page and her neighbors remain frustrated, unsure of what's next.
It doesn't make sense to me why they aren't being held accountable. Like, even if it was an honest mistake, they should be taking responsibility for it, and they're not.
And while her future is unclear, Page says she will do everything she can to find her and her son their next roof over their heads.
Suji tells us that we reached out to the USDA. A spokesperson told her the developer never even applied for the waiver to rent to non-farm workers. We also asked if there will be any investigations into the developer or any possible repercussions. We are still waiting to hear back, and we did reach out several times to Woodmark Apartments and the developers for comment, but have not heard back. So the apartment complex has told its residents it will refer them to nearby properties, but residents say that is still no guarantee that they'll actually get housing. All right, now to our first alert weather day. That's right. What a difference 24 hours makes. Yesterday, we saw some triple-digit temperatures, and today's scattered showers and potential for lightning. So we want to show you a little time-lapse video of the rain from Mount Tam. Marin County got a little bit of a rinse today. And then in San Francisco, only a bit of rain when our photojournalists were out and about checking things out. But other places got more rain. Okay, and there you have it. This is also the Contra Costa Canal Trail in Walnut Creek. So I want to bring in Chief Meteorologist Paul Hagan with a look at what we've gotten so far, Paul.
Yeah, not much more than a couple hundredths of an inch of rain in most spots, a little over a tenth of an inch of rain officially in San Rafael. Here's a look at the radar replay, the big picture perspective over the past several hours, and you can see the moisture streaming up across the Bay Area. Doesn't look too intense, and it hasn't been too intense for the most part, but we were concerned about the potential for cloud to ground lightning, and that is what we have seen, at least for a few parts of the Bay Area. Here's the local radar replay over the past couple of hours, and we're using the radar site out of Sacramento because the Bay Area's radar went down this morning, so we haven't had any data from it for about the past 6+ hours, but that's why we have a network of these things. You can see that moisture streaming up over the East Bay over the past couple of hours, and this activity has been associated with a handful of cloud to ground lightning strikes in eastern Contra Costa County around Discovery Bay and over towards Antioch and Brentwood. This activity is going to stream across the river and into the North Bay as we head through the rest of this evening. The cloud to ground lightning strikes should be fairly few and far between as we head through the rest of this evening. The bulk of the storm fuel is just down to our south. That's shaded in yellow on this map, and you see that's more concentrated over the Santa Cruz Mountains and points just off to our south. As we head through the rest of tonight, what we're going to be tracking is the off and on shower activity becoming more off than on, but one more burst of rain just after midnight should be quieting down as we head towards rush hour on Thursday morning, and then we'll see a mix of clouds and sunshine the rest of Thursday. But this isn't the only rain chance that we have in the forecast. Details on the full 7-day outlook coming up in just a few minutes.
Oh my, I think the contrast was what was so significant, right?
Yeah.
All right, Paul, thanks so much. Okay, stay with us for continuing coverage of this first alert weather day on air, online at KPIX.com, and also streaming on the free CBS News app. All right, on to other stories of the day. The former executive director of a non-profit youth boxing gym in Oakland will spend more than 2 years in prison for embezzling over $500,000, including a large donation from Steph and Aisha Curry. Howard Solomon, who also went by Solomon Howard, ran the East Oakland Boxing Association from 2017 to 2021. And during that time, he diverted money and donations from the nonprofit to pay for personal expenses like vacation rentals, even a Ford Explorer. Well, the most high-profile donation came in 2019. That's when Solomon appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show with the Currys. They surprised him with a donation of $50,000 and a trailer full of gifts for the gym. It was later revealed that Solomon had pocketed the money. So the judge sentenced him to 27 months in federal prison. He was also ordered to pay about $550,000 in restitution to the East Oakland Boxing Association and over $287,000 to the IRS. All right, we're getting a new video right now. A brazen smash and grab at the San Ramon jewelry store that involved more than 20 suspects. Take a look at this. All right, so look at this. It happened, as you can see, 7 suspects arrested in the smash and grab robbery. Police say they've arrested 7 people so far. Happened on Monday afternoon at Heller Jewelers at City Center Bishop Ranch. Cell phone video, look at that, getting locked inside, then firing multiple shots to break the glass door and then get out. So the San Ramon Police Department's drone arrived at the scene fast enough to capture the mob scurrying to the parking lot where they had several getaway cars pre-positioned to make a quick escape. Police say this footage helped them find and arrest 4 suspects in Oakland and 3 more suspects in Dublin.
I'll take it over from Juliet so she can get a quick drink of water and catch her breath. Now investigators are looking at whether they could be connected to a similar smash and grab, several of them around the Bay Area. Edward Liang, who at the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office, says he believes the reason they've become so common is weak punishments. But recently passed state legislation could help curb the trend.
Certain crimes, certain felonies with 3 or more people, which this would definitely fall under, then there's a potential for increased punishment there. There's potential increased punishment depending on the amount of taking, so how much gets stolen.
Police in San Ramon say they are still working to identify others involved in Monday's robbery. We're getting a better picture of an ICE arrest at a San Jose employment center that has some city leaders calling out federal immigration tactics. The center shared this security footage with us, which shows a group of plainclothes agents approaching a staff member at the door of the center. Staff says they showed them a warrant. Then about 5 minutes later, a man in a black shirt comes in and escorts a man out of the building, where he is put into handcuffs. Witnesses say the agents identified themselves as police, but did not specify which agency.
Imagining what he must be going through his mind. You know, you see the video, he's lost. He throws up his arms like this. What can he do? And I can imagine that he's thinking, what's going to happen to my family? Will I ever see them again? What did I do wrong, except by being brown and being here?
So the president of the center says that man and his wife were at an immigration check-in the day before when ICE detained his wife, but he was able to run away before they could take him into custody. The president added that the rapid response team was able to get his wife out of jail. We are now working on his case. We've reached out to ICE for a comment on the incident. We have not heard back yet. All right, we're also following the latest out of Dallas, where federal law enforcement is investigating a shooting at an ICE facility that killed one detainee and injured two others. Investigators say the alleged shooter fired, quote, indiscriminately at the facility from a rooftop across the street before turning the gun on himself. The FBI is investigating it as a targeted attack on ICE. You can actually see the very latest on the investigation coming up in a few minutes on the CBS Evening News. All right, still ahead here at 6, AI data centers use a lot of water, but there's almost no way to know exactly how much. We'll meet some experts trying to pull the curtain back on big tech's water consumption.
We try our best to anticipate and understand what's already happening and anticipate what's coming next so that we can be a step ahead or at least not too many steps behind.
Plus, we're going to take you inside San Mateo's expanded water treatment center, why local leaders say it will help the city prepare for a number of climate-related threats. Governor Gavin Newsom signaling support for AI regulation here in California. So the comments came during a discussion today with former President Bill Clinton at a Clinton Foundation event in New York City. The governor says California is innovating despite the absence of federal leadership in AI regulation, and there is a bill on his desk that he believes strikes the right balance between addressing concerns and bolstering the state's homegrown industry.
And we worked with industry, but we didn't submit to industry. We're not doing things to them, but we're not doing things necessarily for them. And we're trying to answer that question from a policy perspective and find that right balance where we can continue to dominate in this space, continue to support the ecosystem, at the same time address that peril and the concerns that legitimate people have.
So there are actually a number of AI bills waiting for Newsom's signature. It's unclear which AI bill he is supporting. One of those bills aims to tackle an issue that's not about AI itself, but what powers it. Data centers use a lot of water, but at this point, officials don't know how much. Now, as John Ramos reports, the legislature aims to find out.
AI is taking us all on a journey where we don't actually know what the final destination is going to be. But to understand where we're heading, we first have to figure out where we are. Santa Clara isn't just the home of the 49ers, it's also where the internet lives. The city has 55 huge data centers already in operation, with 3 more on the way. And while that takes an awful lot of energy, it also uses something else, water. And Mike Kaparsky at UC Berkeley's Wheeler Water Institute says the need is about to explode with the advent of artificial intelligence.
The data centers that we see now will just multiply. And their need to cool their servers will multiply along with them.
Water runs through the machines to keep them cool, but how much they use isn't public information. But now a bill is awaiting Governor Newsom's signature that would shed a little light on that. AB 93 would require builders to project how much water their data facility will use before opening and how much they use annually while in operation.
Without reporting, there's no way to know how much the 300 plus data centers in California, how much water they use, where, and what the impacts are. Without this information, it's very difficult for local decision makers, such as the small mayor of a small town, for example, to understand the ramifications for their water systems of greenlighting a project that might have other benefits for their communities, even if the impacts could be hidden from them.
For various reasons, data centers are usually clustered together, and they tend to be in places where water is often scarce, like California, Texas, and Arizona. A business sustainability company called Ceres released a study on Tuesday examining the effects of data centers on the area around Phoenix.
The statistics were pretty staggering. We found that in some of the water basins in that region, we saw an increase in water stress by as much as 32%.
The study found that the projected growth of data centers in the Phoenix area will increase by 870%, from the current 385 million gallons to more than 3.7 billion gallons per year. That's information that AB 93 will try to provide.
Similar to this piece of legislation, we need more information. We need companies and their investors need this information as well to really disclose so we can understand really what are the impacts.
Kaparsky says local communities need to weigh the immediate economic benefits of welcoming in a data center with the impact on the area's water resources.
We try our best to anticipate and understand what's already happening and anticipate what's coming next so that we can be a step ahead or at least not too many steps behind.
Requiring companies to disclose their consumption is just the first step in helping local governments as they try to keep up with the breakneck speed of technology.
Okay, so it should be noted that the data centers in Santa Clara use recycled water for their cooling applications, but the Berkeley researcher says even recycled water is a resource that is likely to become more valuable in years to come. And then on the subject of water, the city of San Mateo unveiled its biggest infrastructure project ever. It's a nearly $600 million modernization of its wastewater treatment plant. And our photojournalist got a behind-the-scenes look touring the labs today, the research center, and also the treatment tanks. The city says the facility has a climate-ready design that will prepare the region for rising sea levels and storm surges. It will serve 170,000 residents from San Mateo down to Belmont. All right, coming up, we are cruising through some serious weather whiplash to start the fall season. Paul's going to be back with a look at what's in store for the weekend and beyond. Oh boy, you know when you got that little tickle in your throat and you just, then you have this really feminine hack. You're just coughing. Thank you for taking over.
In this profession, there is no really more helpless feeling than being out on whatever stage alone.
Right.
And your voice goes,
and you have
bye-bye.
Your voice goes bye-bye.
Yeah, so happy to help out. I've been on the other side of that plenty of times.
The giggles in a serious situation and then a cough like this. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm happy to help out. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Oh, good. Can you work for me today and then tomorrow and then next week?
We'll see where Sarah is and see if she's available. Let's talk about what's happening weather-wise here. Take a look at the current radar view. We do have scattered showers across the Bay Area, mainly in a broken line that extends from Marin County through far southern Sonoma and Napa counties, and then over into Contra Costa and Alameda counties. This is the view from the radar site just outside of Sacramento. And you notice this big splotch here to the north of the river. That's actually all of the windmills on the wind farm there in the Delta that it's bouncing off. The radar beam is bouncing off those wind turbines and painting it as this thunderstorm that shows up on the radar pretty much nonstop, but it doesn't go anywhere, so we know it's not real. Everything else here is real, and there's been some cloud to ground lightning strikes associated with this activity. That's largely going to fade off the map as we head through the rest of tonight, but the showers are going to continue. This is futurecast through about midnight, through 1 a.m. technically, where we get a little break in the action, but then another batch of moisture is going to be trying to approach us and roll in with some showers and thunder showers around or just after midnight. This is going to be scattered activity. Just don't be alarmed if you are awakened by a rumble of thunder. And then as we head through 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, you notice that batch of moisture pretty much fades away. We're going to be seeing maybe some wet roads left over for the early morning commuters, otherwise things drying out as we head through the first couple hours of daylight on Thursday. And that's pretty much going to be it for the influence of this system. But we're not quite done just yet with the rain chances, because next week, another more impressive system is going to be heading our way by Monday into Monday night and Tuesday. Now, eventually, we're going to be able to narrow down timing on this and focus really on maybe a 12 to 18-hour window. At this point, though, the back half of the 7-day forecast, things are still a little bit vague. So we'll keep you updated as we head through the weekend into early next week. There's a view to the east of those rain clouds in the distance from Salesforce Tower. Talk about a difference 24 hours makes. 24 hours ago, we were talking about temperatures inland still in the mid to upper 90s. Now everybody is in the 70s. San Francisco, well, it isn't even the cool spot. It's 75 in the city. It's 74 degrees right now in Santa Rosa. Temperatures are going to drop off to a mix of 50s and 60s by early tomorrow morning. Still a little noticeable humidity in the atmosphere, but it's not going to be bad out there. And temperatures tomorrow, still not bad. Back to what's normal for this time of year. Pretty much everybody within a degree or two on either side of average. Back up into the low to mid 80s in the Santa Clara Valley. That's 2 degrees above normal in San Jose. East of the Oakland Hills, even the hot spots only reaching up into the mid 80s. 83 degrees in Concord is a couple degrees below normal. The mixture of 70s and 80s around the bay with 60s in the city and 60s along the coast. Temperatures in the North Bay back up into the mostly mid to upper 70s. Some of the hotter spots farther inland getting up into the mid 80s around Healdsburg. 7-day forecast does include a pleasant weekend. After a brief little warm spell on Friday, we're going to see temperatures retreating to below average levels for most of the weekend and next week, with that chance of showers in the forecast Monday and Tuesday. We're going to see temperatures also stabilizing around the bay. We are going to warm up to a slight extent on Friday, but then back into the lower half of the 70s for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And we'll be tracking that shower chance as we go through the weekend. More news coming up after a quick break. Stick around.
All right, let's get to a traffic alert. So our chopper was over a crash involving a Samtrans bus in San Francisco, happening on Highway 101 near the 280 interchange. It is causing a major backup, as you can see there. It's going southbound. At least 2 lanes are closed. We've reached out for more details. We will certainly keep you updated in the 7 o'clock hour. All right, on a recess at Lafayette Elementary, it got a major upgrade today. A fully restored playground was open to the kids months after it was destroyed by a suspicious fire. The school held a ribbon cutting and kids crowded the play structure in celebration. The superintendent said playgrounds usually take a year to build, but guess what? This one went up in record time in just a few months, and look how happy everyone is. Okay, that's the fire there. Back in May, the playground and storage shed were in a fire. All right, thanks for watching. CBS Evening News is next. We'll have more local news for you, and also on that Samtrans bus crash coming up at 7 o'clock. See you then.